This lecture is about the English colonies in New England in the early 1600s. Unlike Virginian colonists, who were mostly young men looking to make a profit or start a new life, in New England, settlers often arrived in family groups. New Englanders also arrived with more livestock and goods and tended to travel with other people from the same region. From the very beginning, settlers in the northeastern United States were committed to a permanent settlement, which stems from their reasons for moving to the New World. In 1609, separatists, who believed that the Church of England was too corrupt to be saved from within, so they just needed to go, received permission from the Virginia Company to colonize the northern part of their colony in America. So they boarded the Mayflower in 1620 and set sail for the New World. Unfortunately, they landed about 500 miles north of Virginia on Cape Cod, which sparked the first conflict between the separatists and the non-separatist settlers that came with them on the Mayflower. Because they landed outside of the jurisdiction of Virginia, some of the non-separatists questioned the authority of the colony's leaders. In response, settlers created the Mayflower Compact, which 41 adult males signed, and they pledged to enact fair laws for the good of all, and to follow these laws themselves. Essentially, they created a government, with a governor that was in charge, and they set up a system so that decisions could be made for the colony via town hall meeting. Even though they were better prepared for survival than the first Virginians, the first winter in New England brought tremendous hardship. Only half of the Mayflower's passengers lived to see the spring, and those who survived did so because of local Native Americans who allied themselves with the newcomers. In 1629, another Puritan group, this time Congregationalists, established the Massachusetts Bay Company and acquired large amounts of land in New England. Many English Puritans, fearing persecution, moved to this new colony, seeing it as a sanctuary. The Puritan Church quickly became the official church of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Church attendance was very important. Men could only hold public office or vote if they belonged to a Puritan church. In 1691, Massachusetts absorbed Plymouth Colony, creating a vague outline of what we now see as the state of Massachusetts. Disagreements between people in Massachusetts led to the creation of two other colonies. Some Puritans who were dissatisfied with conditions in Massachusetts Bay moved south to create Connecticut. There, these settlers wrote the first constitution in America, titled the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. This document contained provisions for electing men to a legislature, choosing a governor, limiting terms for public officials, and creating fair taxes. Unfortunately, Native Americans in the area, most notably the Pequots, attempted to forcibly keep the English from settling it in Connecticut. Trouble brewed after an incident where two English traders were killed, not by Pequots. In yet another example of European understanding and commitment to the Christian value of not killing everything in sight, an expedition of settlers surrounded and burned the main Pequot town, killing at least 400 people, mostly women and children. The surviving Pequots were captured and enslaved because, they're not monsters. After this display of force, Native Americans accommodated the English presence, trading and sometimes working for them. They did not, however, voluntarily pick up English culture. Another conflict in Massachusetts led to the founding of Rhode Island. Roger Williams, a young Puritan minister in Salem, believed in freedom of religion and the separation of church and state. Puritans, having been persecuted themselves in a place without freedom of religion, notably England, completely understood and— they ran him out of town. He was supposed to return to England, but instead he fled south and spent the winter with the Narragansett Indians. In 1636, he bought land from the Narragansetts and founded Providence. Under William's leadership, Rhode Island adopted complete separation of church and state. Any laws restricting freedom of religion or creating religious prerequisites for voting or office holding were completely prohibited. People of all faiths were drawn to Rhode Island because of that position. Okay, once again, there is some information that was not covered in this lecture that is in the book about the life in New England. You are responsible for that material. It's on pages about 45 to 50 in your textbook, Chapter 2. Otherwise, you know the drill. Make sure that you ask any questions, leave a comment online, or bring it into class, fill in your identifications, and take the quiz for this lecture.